Now, early in my career, I had no aspirations to be a trainer or to do training for a living. I was always good at designing training, and I actually paid for my way through graduate school doing that. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. And one of the reasons I didn't want to do that was I tended to find training boring. And after you ran situational leadership 10 or 15 times, it just sort of petered out for me. And I haven't had that experience with clear leadership. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. And one is that it really is a personal growth experience. And so many of the participants who come into the course, they don't just leave with a set of new ideas or a couple of things in their tool belt. So many of them talk about how it has changed their life in positive ways. And I find that very satisfying and fulfilling to be a part of that. And I think another reason is because of the way the course is designed. Stuff shows up, and it's always different. So I'm constantly being challenged to bring the best of myself, and and I'm constantly learning about my own model. And I think other people who teach the course, that's the same experience they have, because part of teaching clear leadership is about walking the talk. So you have to live these skills, and in teaching them to others, situations inevitably arise that challenge us to really walk the talk and to learn about the challenges that others face in doing that. Um, I don't know if this is an upside or a downside, but one of the things that's happened is in every organization where I've developed internal trainers to teach the course, one of the problems it creates is after they start teaching clear leadership, they really don't want to teach anything else. So they don't want to go back to teaching problem solving or business skills or that sort of thing because it is, in a way, it's just so exciting and it's so enlivening, and it's more than your standard training course. Um, my I come out of my background was doing something called T groups, which were highly experiential, bordered on therapy, personal growth experiences that were focused on teaching people how to learn about group dynamics and interpersonal relationships. Um, I've continued to do that. I teach them at the university, and I've done them sometimes inside organizations, but they're very, very hard to do inside organizations. And but I've constantly been looking for ways of developing training processes that bring that same level of depth and the same level of personal growth and learning, but can be done in a corporate environment. And the key thing I've learned about that is that when we teach these kind of courses, we have to maintain people's dignity. And one of the problems with a lot of the more developmental types of courses is they can be catalytic at times, and people can be seen to break down or something like that, and then they lose their dignity. And so what I find with clear leadership is I think I've found that right balance of how to create enough disturbance, because people don't have a developmental experience unless they're pushed out of their comfort zone. So enough of a way to push people out of their comfort zone, but not so far that they lose their dignity in front of their peers. And we can do this in a 9 to 5 setting, and people can go home after work and come back the next morning, and they're still having the learning experience. So I'm quite proud of that. As a result, however, there are some basic skill requirements of people that want to be certified to teach clear leadership. And those are broken down in some detail on the Clear Learning website. By and large, we're looking for people who have both a combination of stand-up training skills, that is, they're good at standing in front of a group, delivering material, doing it in a way that is enlivening, informative, telling a lot of personal stories and anecdotes to make the concepts come alive. That's one key piece of skill set. The other is their ability to help people learn from their own experience, to be able to, because it is a highly experiential program, and you need to be able to step in and help people learn from their experience as it's happening, and to do that in ways that make people feel more safe and more secure, even as they step into what is a potentially disturbing situation. And so there's usually some background, and then third, to be able to walk the talk of clear leadership. And most trainers who are successful at this have some sort of background in personal growth, working on their own stuff, doing workshops. They have an interest in their own development and evolution. So for people who have those kind of bedrock skills already, I think they find the Clear Leadership course really exciting because it allows them to bring all those parts of themselves into their work in a format where they can keep developing. And the other thing that I'm excited about Clear Leadership is almost regardless of the level of skill and knowledge of the people who come into the course, everyone gets something from it. I've had people take this course who are highly skilled, psychologically aware, organization development consultant types, and they've found it profound for themselves. All the way to, people who have never gone near anything touchy-feely, wouldn't go near with a 10-foot pole, introverted, and they come out of the course feeling like they've got a tremendous amount. So there's something, and I think that's one of the real strengths of this model is that what the model does, and really, when I developed this model, what I was thinking about was, how do I help your typically introverted, very concrete thinker, someone who normally, wants nothing to do with human relationships, how do I help them step into what, frankly, are a lot of skills and techniques people have known about for a long time, and put that and package that in a way that makes sense to them. And the key insight I found works for them is this. Because we're sense-making beings, if you work for me, right, you are compelled to make up a story about what's going on in my head. There's no other way around it. So I can either tell you what's going on in my head, or you can make up a story about it. Those are my only options. And because sense-making tends to create stories that are more negative than the reality, if I'm not telling you what's going on in my head, the story you're going to make up is going to be worse than the reality. So those are my options, which means I have to learn to start being more transparent. And that's number one. Number two, if I'm going to be able to lead you effectively, and particularly an ability to create collective learning from our experience, I got to get curious about your experience. And so I think no matter who I've worked with and what their background is, what their character is, those are two sort of bedrock assumptions that they can't run away from. And so given that, then what are the skills that you can use to make that happen? And what the Clear Leadership course does is provide very concrete skills and techniques for solving the problem of interpersonal emotion and creating interpersonal clarity and creating partnership. And that's, people come out of the course and they say, I've got tools now that I can use tomorrow to do things which in the past people have told me are good things to do, but I really didn't know how to go about doing that. And so that is very satisfying too, I think. As one consultant from Sweden, Anders Riesling, his comment on the course was, he said, I've been in courses that are here and now, and I've been in courses that are skill building, but this is the only course I've ever taken that's both here and now and skill building. It's kind of brought both of those together in a way that is powerful and effective and almost always exceeds people's expectations.